All right, welcome everyone to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Tennessee Athletic Commission. Thank you all for joining and working through all the technical difficulties, but we're all here, so that's all that really matters. All right, so roll call. Ben Grove.
Here.
Christy Halbert.
I'm here.
Patrick Wren.
Present.
Great. Dan McGrew. And Matt Reddish. Okay, got 3 members. That constitutes quorum. Let me read the notice of meeting. The notice of the March 8, 2021 meeting of the Athletic Commission, including date, time, and location, has been noticed on the website since June 16, 2020. Additionally, this month's agenda has been posted on the website since February 24, 2021. As you know, with all remote meetings, we have to read a statement of necessity and then conduct roll call votes for all matters that are actionable. Let me read that statement of necessity, and then we'll take a roll call vote to accept it and to have that sent over to the Secretary of State's office. All right, according to TCA 844-108B2, if a physical quorum is not present at the location of a meeting of a governing body, the governing body must file such determination of necessity, including the recitation of the facts and circumstances on which it was based, with the Office of Secretary of State no later than 2 working days after the meeting. Furthermore, TCA 844-108A3 defines necessity as matters to be considered by the governing body at that meeting require timely action by the body, that physical presence by a quorum of the members is not practical within the period of time requiring action, and that participation by a quorum of the members by electronic or other means of communication is necessary. This is the regularly scheduled meeting for the Tennessee Athletic Commission. The board is meeting by electronic means to conduct essential business as authorized by Governor Lee's Executive Order number 78. Meeting remotely is considered a reasonable measure to protect the safety and welfare of Tennesseans while ensuring government business may continue in a manner that is open and accessible to the public. This meeting remains open to the public by electronic means, and all board members shall identify themselves when speaking. All votes by the board will be by roll call. All we need now then is to get that filed over to Secretary of State's office. Do we have a motion to accept the statement of necessity?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Dr. Halbert. See, Christy Halbert has given us a motion to accept the statement of necessity. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Wren. We got a second by Patrick Wren. For roll call vote, Ben Grove.
I'm here.
Just aye is fine, or nay would be fine.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Thank you, sir. Christy Halbert
Aye.
and Patrick Wren.
Aye.
All right, thank you. We'll get that filed over there. All right, for the agenda, of course, you've received all the docs in your email as of recent. Had a chance to look over that, and with the agenda in front of you, are there any changes that you'd like to make or edits? All right, hearing none, we'll entertain a motion to accept the agenda as printed and written. Do we have such a motion?
I'll
I
make
move
that.
we accept.
All right,
And I
thank
will
you, Mr.
second it.
Wren. And thank you, Ms. Halbert. All right, since we have a proper motion and second, we'll need a roll call vote then. Aye or nays? Ben Grove,
Aye.
Christy Halbert,
Aye.
Patrick Wren.
Aye.
All right, thank you. We'll get that taken care of then. Of course, there's always opportunity there for new business to deal with anything that may pop up. All right, December minutes then it is. You have that in front of you as well. If that report, is that Dan?
Yes.
Great, welcome. You're at the right place.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I'm late. I was looking at my clock was wrong.
Oh, that's okay. You didn't miss much. We just got done with the agenda and we're in the December minutes now. So welcome.
Thank you.
Sir. All right. So December minutes. I trust everyone had an opportunity to look at those. Any comments, edits, revisions in that regard? Okay, hearing none, we'll entertain a motion to accept the December minutes and get those published on the website. Do we have such a motion?
I make a motion to accept the December minutes.
All right, thank you, Mr. McGrew. All right, we got a motion from Dan McGrew for the accepted December minutes. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second.
All right, got one from Christy Halbert. For roll call vote then, Ben Grove,
Aye.
Christy Halbert,
Aye.
Patrick Wren,
Aye.
and Dan McGrew. Dan McGrew.
Aye.
Great. All right. December minutes, we'll get those published then. All right. For the section on your agenda that says results reporting, I have an individual. He's here on the call. His name is Brian Dunn. Some of you will know him from he's the Deputy State Athletic Commissioner at Nebraska. He's also currently serving as the president of ABC Commission, and he would like to address our commission today regarding posting results to MMAReg.com. And I believe Chris Palmquist is also on the line representing MMAReg.com. Mr. Dunn?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you taking the time. As Glenn said, I wanted to speak to you about the database. We're having trouble collecting money from, I think there's some issue with some of the professional organizations that you guys regulate, but more so with the sanctioning bodies that regulate. The issue being that they're just not paying the bill, and the work still has to be done by the sanctioning or by the database. They have to record that information. It's important all over the country. If someone gets hurt there in Tennessee and then wants to come to, let's say, Nebraska and fight for me, I need to know that they fought there, that they were injured maybe, or whatever the case is. I'm sure you understand. And the issue being, not only are they not paying, but I'm concerned also with, I know that you guys Glenn told me that you just approved the sanctioning body, and then I don't know that there's any follow-up. So my concern is, yes, they're not paying, and what else are they not doing, if that's fair to say?
Okay. Yes, our regulation when it comes to amateurs is that we do not regulate amateur events. We do approve sanctioning bodies, and then those sanctioning bodies, they regulate those events. So we have a list of, I believe, about, I want to say 7 or 8 approved sanctioning bodies. Once approved, they go on our website, and then we get a letter from them through the promoters saying that they'll be regulating those events. So those events are being regulated, but by the sanctioning body, not by the state. We regulate and limit our regulation to pros. But as far as the payment goes, one thing is that the commission doesn't have authority to raise or enforce the collection of fees that are not explicitly listed in our rules or statute. As a result, we historically have refrained from serving as a third-party collector where we have no authority, but to direct those promoters to the website host instead. From what it sounds like, they're not paying that bill. Although $15 about does seem a little bit excessive, we do want those fights results to be posted for all parties. So we would stand in consensus with your concern in that regard. We do want those posted both for the benefit of the fighters, for the promoters, but then ultimately for the commission so we can vet those bouts. So we do echo those concerns and appreciate your comments. Did you have any other comments or?
Well, I guess what I'm asking is for your commission to review your policy of approving these databases, because your policy of approving the sanctioning organization, because I'm also concerned with, especially if they're in competition with each other, what other corners are they cutting as far as athlete safety? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, we do have a complaint process. It's up to the will of the commission. It's we bring their qualifications before the commission, and then they make those determinations. And then if we get a complaint, then we'll process that accordingly. But those are primarily for pros, but we would look into their approved status if we were to give a complaint based on some violation of their own regs and their own policies, those sanctioning bodies that we have on file. Then we would definitely look into that. But that would be the process.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you for the information. I believe Chris wants to say something.
Yeah. Hi, Chris Palmquist with MMA Reg. Again, thank you guys for letting me join the call today. And I just kind of want to echo some of the sentiments that Brian shared, and kind of just clear up some things on our end, as far as the sanctioning bodies go, and also the professional promoters in Tennessee. Am I correct, Glenn, in saying that you also cannot enforce the collection of a payment for something that's not in your rules and regulations?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
All right. So my thought would be to, if possible, to have your commission look into changing those rules and regs to kind of enforce that fee. I don't know how much you guys use our system. I know we include your suspensions. I know at least you should be looking up athletes, whether or not to find out if they're in suspension when they're fighting in Tennessee. And the truth is that the system costs money to operate, right? We spent significant revenue to build it to what it is today. For the last 14 years, to the tunes of hundreds of thousands of dollars. And your constituents in other states are all paying to use, one way or the other, are paying to use the system. And Tennessee is not. So I would try to hope we could work towards making that part of the rules and regulations in Tennessee. As far as the amateur sanctioning bodies go, I would say, again, to what Brian said is, you guys are the ones that approve these bodies, right? And they have to meet a certain set of applications to be a sanctioning body in Tennessee. I would like to see that part of kind of the requirements to sanction amateur MMA in Tennessee.
Glenn, I apologize. This is Laura.
Mhm.
Everyone, please, if you're not speaking, if you would please mute. We have a lot of background noise and it's really hard for everybody to hear.
Thank you, Laura. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
No, I appreciate your comments. That's obviously those are some things that the commission can discuss. Along the way as we look at our rules package continually. Of course, that'll be decisions that they'll make with executive management as well. But that is something that they could look at going forward.
Yeah, and I will just say that this has now been a 13-year process for our company with the ABC. I think it's gone fairly well. The database is super required and useful for kind of the safe regulation of the sport right now, and especially in the United States. And we've worked with every commission in the United States, to kind of get up to speed. I know that some commissions have had to go as far as legislation to get in line, but I think it's important, right? The system provides a pretty important aspect to regulation. You can't regulate fights unless you know that everyone's going to be safe, and so we have never got to a point where we've ever restricted access to a commission, and we probably never would, because we're for safety of the athletes, right? And that would cause a big issue. But I do think I would like to see some discussion, at least, about kind of moving forward, and perhaps adding that to your guys' regulations, for the professional promoters and for the sanctioning bodies that you guys approve to operate in your state.
All right. Well, I appreciate your comments. Thank you. And of course, if you have any, follow-up
So if that was
questions, you can.
unclear, happy to answer any
can-
questions.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. I don't think there's really much more to discuss. That'll be something that, of course, with the executive management, the commission that'll be something ongoing concern that they'll probably have to put their heads together at some point. But having not had the benefit of that collective discussion yet, I don't know that we're prepared to have it, except for we do appreciate your opening comments and to say that we all do want these results to be posted so that we can protect both the interests of the fighters and the promoters and all the commissions that would benefit from thereof. So thank you for your comments. Is there anything else?
Nope. I mean, my last thing I would say was just if you guys get to that point where you're discussing it, I am 100% available to jump in and answer any questions, and and also talk to the promoters and the sanctioning organizations if necessary. Outside of posting official results, our if the system works ideally, it is beneficial to the promoters as well. It's not just kind of a we don't think of it as just it's a cost you have to pay, right? We hope that there's a benefit there. As far as getting your events up and putting your card in early and finding out whether or not guys are on suspension and kind of communicating with the commission through our system. So, like I said, if you guys get to that point, I'd be more than willing to talk to anybody and everybody to try to help clear some things up if necessary.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Palmquist and Mr. Dunn. I appreciate your comments. I believe we're ready then for the director's report. All right. Everyone should have that in front of them as well. As far as the contents included, which would be the budget, primarily looks like that's pretty much limited to that. We will hit election of officers to subsequent, but right now let's just take a look at the budget. All right, we've got this being our first meeting of the year. We always try to go over the reserve budget first, and then we try to follow that up with what you've seen on the regular at each of our quarterly meetings, which is the trend analysis and our current budget for this fiscal year. We're going to primarily, if you look at that first page, we're going to look at fiscal year 19 through 20. It's the last column of your 4 prior fiscal years. And we're going to look at total expenditures. It's a little bit about 3/4 of the way down. That is an amount of roughly 97 plus $1,000. Net revenue is a little over 100,000, which put us in excess or surplus of 2,500, adding to the prior fiscal reserve balance for a total surplus balance of 18,900. So as you know, we do work with narrow margins. We typically depend on those big events to keep us running. We are looking for ways to continue to trim the fat and look for ways to realize savings where we can. That primarily will come in the inspections. Obviously, you understand that being the highest expense that we have, and so we try to really hone in on that like a laser. Let's look at the trend analysis. We're looking primarily at the last 3 months, October through December. The other expenses, right there under TAC expenses, you have Edison expense, and then other column under October, November. Those seem to be a little high to me. They're 3,400 and 1,600, those two amounts. I've got accounting looking at those now. Those I believe are primarily going to be core STS expenses shared by all of the programs. But if I see anything unusual, I'll report back to you on those. But those were the only 2 expenses that seemed a little bit higher than normal. But of course, a lot of our other programs about that same time, we're seeing similar expenses. So yeah, I believe it's probably just STS core expenses with our vendor. But we want to make sure that we do our due diligence. So if I hear anything again from anyone else, I'll let you know. But if you scroll on down, we're pretty much have to run in the red until we get an event that puts us back in surplus. This being no different, we're looking at right now, it's of course chipping away at our reserve balance. If you look right underneath our revenues and expenses, you got the reserve balance tracking. We sit in a surplus of about 5,000. I imagine here pretty soon we'll be in the red ultimately. So unless we have another event or until we can find some exponential savings in inspections, which we do anticipate getting a little bit more savings there through the use of more part-time inspectors. I believe we're going to move proportionally in that direction and continue to move in that direction. So I do think we'll get the cost savings that we're looking for, and at least to keep us as close to zero or surplus as we possibly can. But we'll continue to track that as always. There's nothing actionable here for us to do. I will entertain any questions that you may have. Does anyone have anything that jumped out at them or that they'd like to discuss? Okay. Hearing none, then we can move to election of officers. All right. TCA 68-115-106 states that the members of the commission shall elect one member as a chair of the commission who shall serve for a term of 1 year, whereupon another member shall be elected as provided in this chapter. The commission is only required to elect a chair, but have historically elected a vice chair as well. This being our first meeting, we typically try to have those election of officers as soon as possible. Christy Halbert is currently serving as your chair, and Mr. Wren is vice chair. Since Christy Halbert is approaching the end of her first year term, we'll need to nominate a replacement per statute. Does anyone have a nomination for both of those positions, both the chair and the vice chair?
This is Christy Halbert. I nominate Dan McGrew as chair.
Okay. Did anyone have a vice chair recommendation? The statute's only for chair. We could, if it was the will of the commission, Mr. Wren could also remain chair or vice chair. Any recommendations there? Hearing none, we'll just continue with chair then, since that's all the statute requires. So Mr. Wren will remain as vice chair. Do we have a nomination from Ms. Halbert? Do we have a second?
I'll second that one.
All right, thank you. We got a motion from Ms. Halbert for Mr. McGrew and a second from Mr. Wren for Dan McGrew to serve as chair. So I believe we're ready for a roll call vote. Ben Grove,
Aye.
Christy Halbert,
Aye.
Patrick Wren,
Aye.
Dan McGrew.
Aye.
All right, Mr. McGrew, congratulations. You are our chair this year.
Well, thank you very much. It's an honor, and I pledge to try to do my best and stand up to the what Christy has done, and she served that position very well. And just like to say thank you to everyone for your confidence.
All right, thank you, sir. And Ms. Halbert, I do appreciate your service as well this past year. It was a very unusual year with COVID and all of the things we sort of had. Well, we did have to navigate, to include, a major event as well that was new to our area. So it's a very interesting and it was not uneventful, that's for sure. So thank you for helping us navigate those waters. All right, I think we're ready for the legal portion of our agenda. Pam, I think if you were ready for the legal report, we can proceed with that.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. This is Pam Spicer. You all should have received the legal report and had hopefully an opportunity to review that. And I'm happy to answer any questions. There are 3 complaints on the legal report with my recommendations included. I'm happy to discuss, or if you all are accepting of the recommendations, I would just need a motion, a second, and a roll call vote to approve same.
Okay.
Well, first of all, on this, I think it's the first case number 202-100-2341.
Yes.
This particular MMA event, I happened to be at that particular one, and I was informed that there would be a complaint filed. I told him, if he wanted to use my name, I don't know if my name is in the report or not, wanted to use my name as being there and witnessing what had happened, which I did. But I don't think my name is in this report, that at least what I can see. But
there would not necessarily be a need to mention a specific commission member that was in attendance, especially for purposes of these complaints remaining anonymous.
Right. Okay. Well, I'd just like to say that, the individual, he handled it very well. And to to keep there from being any kind of other problems, he tried his best to de-escalate the problem, and he informed the other people that were there representing the commission to also do that. So I mean, he handled it very well and as best as he could. But yeah, it could have turned pretty ugly, but it didn't.
Thank you for
And
your
thank you
comments.
for that. I appreciate that. Does anybody else have any other questions? If not, we'll move forward with a motion.
This is Ben Grove. So was the guy like totally defiant about he would not wear gloves while he cornered this guy? That's what I'm reading.
Well, this particular person that was working that bout for his fighter, he is a ex-pro fighter. I mean, he's a big guy, maybe over 200, some odd 230, 240 pounds. And yes, he completely refused to put on gloves. He completely refused to follow in some other rules, like touching the cage there. And when he was asked to put on gloves or asked not to touch the cage, although I didn't hear him verbally, I saw his reaction and I saw his body language, and they were both very defiant. So at that particular time, you know, the gentleman that asked him to do that, he de-escalated the situation, and he told the other people there that was representing state of Tennessee just to not have any kind of contact with him, let it go, and we'll take care of it later. So, like I said, it could have gotten very ugly, but it did not, luckily.
Yeah, I don't think inspectors should ever have to fear for their safety. Like that seems like a pretty bad offense.
Pam, what was the respondents? What was the respondents' response once you sent out the request for response? What was their demeanor? Was it properly contrite or responsive, or was it still defiant?
No, not in the response. And as you all may know, I try to specifically identify if our respondents provide a response, which sometimes they don't. They don't necessarily have to. But this respondent sent in what I would, it wasn't a one-liner. It was more of a detailed response, significantly apologizing for any error and stating it was never his intent to fail to follow the rules. I understand what Mr. McGrew is saying. Of course, I wasn't there and did not see the event, but based on all of the information that I received, that is why my recommendation is a letter of warning, because failure to wear gloves is significant. It's contained in our rules, but there was a response. Now, of course, reading someone's demeanor is obviously not necessarily something we could necessarily litigate from a lawyer's perspective, but I understand the concerns of the commission. But this respondent did provide a very detailed response, and like I said, it was more than a couple of sentences and has no disciplinary history.
And just as a reminder too, a letter of warning is disciplinary action. A letter of instruction is non-disciplinary action. It's basically the lower end of the continuum based on any mitigating factors that legal may run into as well. So it'll reflect as disciplinary action on his license.
I think that's fair then.
Yes, I think a letter of warning would be fine in this situation.
Okay.
And stated, that was the recommendation that I included.
Yes. Letter of warning.
Yes.
Do you want to handle these all at once and then or individually? We could just do a roll call vote at the very end of these, if
Right.
that suffices. Okay.
If there are no changes to the legal report, we do not have to itemize. We can approve the entire legal report. We do not have to go through each one.
Okay. Commission. Well, I think are we okay with the recommendation then for number 1, a letter of warning?
Yes, I'm for it.
Okay. Well, then unless there's any
If there are no other questions, there are 3 contained on this legal report. If you've had an opportunity to review them, I'll just renew my prior statement that we would need a motion and a second and a roll call vote to approve the entire legal report as drafted.
and number 2 is closure, and number 3 was closure as well. All right. Is there any comments or questions? If not, we can entertain a motion to approve the legal report. Case
I'll
number.
motion to approve it.
All right, great. Thank you, Mr. Grove. We have a motion to approve the legal report. Do we have a second?
I'll
second.
second.
All right. Thank you, Mr. McGrew. We have a second. Before we do a roll call vote, let me just read those case numbers in once more. Number 1 is 2021002341. Number 2 is 2020095281. And number 3 is 20200785551. Number 1 was a letter of warning. Number 2, number 3 were closure. We have a motion from Mr. Grove to approve the legal report. We have a second from Mr. McGrew for a roll call vote. We have Ben Grove.
Aye.
Christy Halbert,
Aye.
Patrick Wren,
Aye.
Dan McGrew.
Aye.
All right, thank you. That legal report is taken care of. Then I think we're ready for a rules update.
Yes. Again, this is Pam Spicer. I wanted to update you all on the status of the rules. The update is not significant, but I do want to keep you all in the loop. I think I have mentioned during the last meeting that when rules travel through the system, of course, they start with the department after you all approve the rules. The department approves them, then they're sent over to the Attorney General's office, which is where they currently are. They are being reviewed by the Attorney General's office for multiple reasons, one of which is constitutionality. They also look for other issues. I have not heard back from them yet. After they approve the rules, as I had mentioned in a prior meeting, they will continue through various other approval processes. I know that everyone is eager to get these approved and move forward with a rulemaking hearing, which is why I continue to update you at each meeting. It is not unheard of for rules to take, 9 months or closer to a year to get through the entire process. Some of that is because of the time frames that we have to follow. For example, and don't hold me to exact dates for purposes of this discussion, but just so you all have an idea of how this would work, since these are being set for a rulemaking hearing, I will have to provide close to 60 days notice prior to the rulemaking hearing. So basically, in order for them to make the June meeting, I would have to have them through the approval process. I guess that would be in April. So it is not likely that these will make it to a rulemaking hearing for the June meeting. It is more likely they would make it to a rulemaking hearing for our September meeting. So I do appreciate everyone's patience. Sometimes these things are not necessarily within my control. After you all approve them, I basically move them through the process and make any not significant changes, if any changes are requested by the Attorney General's office. If there is anything significant that they are requesting be changed, sometimes those changes will have to come back to the board. So that's just why I like to keep you updated every time we have a meeting, since we do not meet monthly. And I'm happy to answer any questions about the process. Again, I just like to keep it on the agenda so that you all are aware of kind of where we're going with these.
Thank you.
All right.
And that's all I have.
All right. Thank you, Pam. Appreciate that. All right. New business then. Do we have any new business or anything that you'd like to touch on that we already discussed? All right. Anyone? All right.
Glenn, I was
Yes.
just going to let the commission know that I recently attended an event, and I just want to really give a shout out to the inspections team. I thought the event went very well, and I was very impressed, as always, with our inspection team and the way they handle events. And it, as everyone knows, you know, it's a lot of work, and I think they really appreciated that I was there to kind of watch what they do and watch the event.
Thank you, Pam. I appreciate your representation, and for those of you that were able to attend as well, Mr. McGrew and others. Thank you guys so much for participating as part of that process.
Yes, I would also like to echo what Pam had to say about that. They always act in a certainly a professional manner. They get the job done, and my hat goes off to them, because a lot of times what they are doing is not very easy. But they do a great job, and we all should just appreciate that. And also appreciate you, Pam. Thank you for your expertise in what you do, and able to explain things to where at least I can understand. And so you do a fantastic job, and thank you for all that you do.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
All right, thank you. I'll share those comments with inspections. They always appreciate any feedback they get, and of course, constructive or otherwise. And I'm sure they'll appreciate your comments in that regard. So I'll let them know. All right, I think we're ready then for, unless there's any new business, I think we're ready for an adjournment. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
All right, thank you, Ms. Halbert. We got a motion from Christy Halbert. Do we have to adjourn? Do we have a second?
Second it.
All right, thank you, Mr. Grove. Roll call vote then to adjourn. We got Ben Grove,
Aye.
Christy Halbert,
Aye.
Patrick Wren,
Yes, sir.
and then Dan McGrew.
Aye.
All right, thank you. We are adjourned. Thanks, Laura.
Y'all have a nice one.